There we go. Good morning. My name is Robin Fritz. Welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. Today I want to talk about how we look at our animals, how we see them, and what it means to think of them as souls in translation. So it's a fun topic. It's also deeply moving and it fits right into the category of body, mind, and spirit. So welcome, join me. If you're listening, chime in. Let me know who you are, where you're joining us from, and what your thoughts and feelings and questions are about our animal families. So welcome again. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant and a certified past life regression specialist. Really big long title. I'm based in Seattle, Washington. I'm an Om Times contributor. And I am talking today about how we see our animals as souls in translation. So, the question is, what does that mean? Well, I was thinking yesterday, how do we talk about our animal families? And for me, October is a really special time. It's a time when two of my three Cavalier King Charles family animals, Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, there we go, joined my family. I have one now. My first two are gone. But my first Cavalier, Murphy, joined the family in 1998, and my third, Oliver Alki, in October of 2015. And, when we think about things like adoption days or birthdays and the days they passed away and all the different things that we acknowledge and celebrate in our lives with animals, one of the most moving to me is the day we came together and created a family. And I have to say, back in 1998, when I adopted Murphy, I was thinking of getting a dog. That's all I really thought about. I didn't really think of her as a soul. I thought of her as a dog, and that's what I wanted to share today. Is when we look deeper into our animal families, we can see more going on there than we think about if we just give it a chance, right? Have fun, relax, enjoy, create a family together. What does that mean and what does that look like? So I had noticed that Murphy, my first Cavalier, really had nuanced responses to people. She'd look at one person and another person, and she'd relate to them differently. And I was always really startled by that. It's like, what is she thinking? And I never really thought about what animals were thinking beyond like they're hungry or they're not feeling well or something. So I was really paying attention to how she reacted to people and how people were either fascinated or like startled and ran away. But the big thing that changed was February 28th, 2001, about 10 minutes to 11 in the morning, when she was curling up for a nap. And this is a 20-pound dog, right? Very laid-back dog. About the only thing they'll attack is a cookie. She suddenly went berserk and started barking and snarling and dragging on me to get me out of the house. 2 minutes later, we had a major earthquake here in Seattle. And when it was all over, and we recovered and checked on all the neighbors and afternoon came along, I was like, wait a minute. She'd never behaved like that before. She knew the earthquake was coming before it got here. Our scientists can't even do that. And I thought, wow, there's more going on in the world than we know. And I decided to try to find out what that was. So that started my long journey to becoming who I am today, what I am today, which as an intuitive and spiritual consultant is quite a different path than what I thought I was starting out on way back when. But here's the thing that I learned. And, when a major event like that happens, you can say, wow, this is different. I never thought of that before. And you can turn your back and walk away, or you can explore it. And that's, everybody's choice, and it depends on what's going on at the time. At the time, I was recovering from a major accident in a serious debilitating illness. And I guess I had the time to explore choice to be depressed or to just move forward in life. But watching her change and watching what was going on, I started to realize there was more going on with animals than we were aware of. And over time, that deepened my relationship with her. I was totally in love with her. We were soulmates. But when I started thinking about creating a family with an animal, what does that mean? And why would we do that? And what meaning and depth do we put to that? And how does it change us and them, right? And it became a question of looking at them as equals, as souls who had consciousness. Obviously, they were alive. They had a job to do in the world, whatever that was, a choice about doing it, and rights and responsibilities and opinions. And the more I learned from Murphy, the more we learned from each other about creating families, the more I was able to go out in the world and learn to communicate with other beings, which led to the work I do today, especially with non-humans, like clearing spaces or working with other people and their animals. So, and feel free to chime in, let me know what you're thinking. But here's one thing that Murphy said to me, and it was after she died, and I was grieving, and I actually hired another intuitive to talk with her, which is kind of like the same thing as if you're a doctor, you don't operate on yourself, right? You bring in this independent, more neutral outside observer. And Murphy said to me, "Thank you, Mother, for the deep soul work you do that helps them see us." Thank you, Mother, for the deep soul work you do that helps them see us. And I still think that's the best thing anybody's ever said to me. But it's also something that we can all do, right? Because I looked beyond the dog and I saw a soul in that body. And here's what I learned. A lot of us are going around thinking that our animals are our teachers and our gurus. And I know that isn't right, because I know how they suffer from that. I know how it creates a huge burden on them. I remember a cat in a class, and a person was petting the cat. "Oh, this cat is my healer and my teacher, and I can't live without her." And this cat was just like, "Oh." And I said to the woman, I said, "Why don't you start?" And I was just appalled at how upset the cat was, and just burden. You could see energetically this heavy burden on this cat. So the cat wasn't really having the freedom to be the cat and to be whatever it was that cat chose to be in that body. And I said to her, why don't you look at your cat as a family member and what job she chooses to do? And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, and then she immediately changed how she was reacting to the cat. I think she was just open for it. And you could see the cat relax once there was this equal give and take there. Hi, Kim. Thanks for your comment. And I'll get to that in a moment, because that's a really good comment. Really good question. And so here's the thing. We are all souls that choose the body we need in that lifetime to do the work we've chosen for that lifetime. Now, I know for myself that we all need to earn a living, right? We humans need to figure out how to pay the bills, right? And sometimes we have other things to do that maybe we don't even find out during our lifetime, because we're just, struggling to make a go of it. And then late in my life, I learned that my work was here with the planet and to help the planet, and to not to take over, but to work in cooperation with the planet and to teach people how things were alive and how deeper and more enriched our life was as a result of that. But an animal will choose, or a soul will choose an animal's body because it needs that particular body to do its working. And over the many years that I've lived with animals now, in this new way of looking at them as family members, I know that the one difference between animals and humans is that animals are more at ease with their souls. They're more connected to what they did in previous lifetimes than we are. And they don't have some of the ego problems that we humans have. We humans really pick tough jobs just by becoming humans. Our souls are just really struggling to let go of ego and judgment, and I'm not good enough, or I'm better than everything, and that kind of gets in the way of our just learning to be humble and to look at how our souls grow in that particular experience. But if you back up and look at your animals as family members, it's really not just enlightening, but it's humbling, because they depend on us for food, right? I mean, if they become dogs and cats and live with us in the house, they are, really dependent on us to take care of them. But when you look at the jobs they choose to do, now Oliver Alki, my current cavalier, just turned 5 in July. This last week we just celebrated our 5th anniversary together. I got on the plane and went clear across the country to bring him home, because I knew he was a reincarnation of a previous cavalier, and also that he said he had a job to do. He hadn't finished his job in his last body. So here he is now, and I'm like, are you going to do that work you told me you were going to do, or are you just going to play all your life? Well, right now he's just playing and enjoying himself, and I laugh because it's fun, and it's like we get to change our minds. But he's also growing and learning in that body, and sometimes I ask myself, what is he learning as a soul in that body? And it's the same question we ask ourselves, right? In a family, we give each other the opportunity to grow and to learn and to explore those things. And so I invite you to look at your families, your animal families, as souls that are exploring what they can do to grow in that particular body. And we're all here first and foremost to learn to love ourselves. So that's one thing I want to leave you with today, to take a look at your animals as family members and what that means. Now, to Kim's question, animals that are used for food. That actually has come up a lot in my practice and in my personal life. And you can laugh at this if, because it is kind of funny, is picking a turkey for Thanksgiving, right? And talking to a frozen turkey on a truck coming in. It's like, which one of you is my turkey? And why? And, I think we separated from the idea of respecting our food, whether it's, a plant or an animal. I remember someone asking me one time, well, because you're an animal communicator, you don't eat meat, right? And I was like, the most involved conversation I've had with food was with a cantaloupe. Literally one time, starting to eat a piece of cantaloupe, and it started yelling at me to feed it to Alki, my cavalier, who had an upset stomach. And I'm like, no, be quiet. I'm not going to feed cantaloupe to a dog with an upset stomach. Cantaloupe just makes it worse. And this cantaloupe kept insisting that I feed it to Alki. So finally, over a few days, I gave him a few pieces of cantaloupe, and his stomach got better, right? So animals is food. So we get to choose what we want to do in our life. Does that mean we choose to go to the slaughterhouse and be somebody's food? Yes, no, maybe, right? But I have talked with animals that are raised as food, and they're fine with their job. I'm sure some of them don't really like that any more than you wonder sometimes about why we're human, when we're having a bad day. So when I've talked with frozen turkeys, when I've talked with food in the store, it's one thing that I cannot do is allow other people to shop for me, because I literally choose the food that is mine. It's a really convoluted and complicated planet that we live on, right? And so people are going to say, oh, it's wrong to eat animals, but, vegetables are conscious too. I haven't met anything that wasn't conscious, anything that didn't have a soul. And we think about it from that aspect. It's a little bit of give and take, right? It's like, you can eat this, you cannot eat that. And your choice should be learning to have respect back and forth. And I think that's one thing we've lost when we're trying to look at saying, I'm going to be a vegetarian because I don't want animals or farmed animals or whatever. I think there's a lot that we can do to raise animals and vegetables and fruit respectfully so that they can be the best apple or the best cantaloupe or the best chicken that they can be, that soul choice. I know in my upcoming book on space clearing, I talk about deli lid containers that actually had a job to do that I wasn't even aware of until, they said, hey, throw us away. We're done doing what we came to be sold deli lids for. I think it's looking in creating a perspective that looks at other life as equal to ours, whatever form it's in, and then learning to honor and respect our food, which is how we pray over food. How when you sit down at a meal or when you gather the food, when you butcher an animal, when you pick the carrots out of the ground, you thank them for giving their life to nourish yours and honor that transition. I hope that answers that question. It is a complicated one, and thanks for joining in today. And I think part of the question about animals as food is that we are becoming more aware of them as choice. And we need to support the people like you who are consciously raising food for other people, for your families. And we all have to eat, even carrots, right? They need nourishment to grow. Our ancestors had a more evolved, maybe cooperative relationship with our food. Learning to respect our food, learning to thank it for giving its life for us, and giving back is part of how we live together on the planet. So thank you all for joining me today. It's that time of year when I think about how much I've learned by letting my animals be who they are instead of trying to force them into a mold. Noticing when they want to play, noticing when they're hungry, when they're not feeling well, noticing when I've hurt their feelings and talking to them about it and listening. And sometimes you think that I'm not an animal communicator, so I can't actually talk with my animals. You actually know an awful lot about what your animals are thinking or feeling. Change it up, change the dynamic, go from me learning to live with a dog as a dog and then learning to live with a dog as a family member, as a soulmate. And what that does, to me, it's not any different than living with another human in terms of honoring and respecting their choice, their mistakes, their triumphs, their needs and wants, and trying to balance those in a family. And some people may say, well, it's idealistic, and I say, yeah, maybe, but it's really enriched my life, and I see how much it's enriched my animals' lives, and I'm flattered when they come back to me. And I know that my animals and I have been trading lifetimes for centuries, human and animal or whatever. And I don't have any problem with that. I know a lot of humans have trouble thinking that they were once a whale or a cat or a dog. And it's like, that was what that soul needed in that lifetime. Look at your animals and think, what were the circumstances that brought us together? What do I need to do to help them grow their souls, learn to love themselves in this body, and whatever else they've chosen to do in the world? And listen. And allow that to expand your view of what it means to live on the planet. We've cut ourselves off from the planet for eons, right? We have really lived very lonely lives. And it's time for us to look at everything around us and, find out what it's up to and what it wants to share with us and how we can share with that and how we can create a better world together. Time's running out to create a better world. Before it gets darker, before, we lose that opportunity to really be the best that we can be in relation with other humans, other animals, with our own homes. And when you expand to looking at your animals as family members, as souls, which is easy in a way because they respond to us, expand it to your home, to your business. Ask it what it needs and wants from you, how you can support it. It's all part of being a family. So thanks for joining me today. Come back next week. Let me know if you have a subject you'd like to talk about. You can find me here on Facebook at The Practical Intuitive. Again, my name is Robin Fritz. If you like this video, please like my page, The Practical Intuitive. All the Om Times pages, my God, they do so much work for the world. And do your best to be the great person that you are in the world. Believe it, it matters. Everybody matters. Now more than ever. Take care. Let me know how you're doing, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.